Really? Wait, what? I was just recording my review and breakdown and recap for The Boys Season 4, Episode 4, like literally 20 minutes into my Boba rambling, and then I just glanced over to my second screen where I normally have Discord up, you know, maybe a tab or two of Google Chrome, and then boom, Brutal Vengeance, shout out to my boy there, he tagged me saying, new Penguin trailer. And I'm like, what do I do? I mean, we also have freaking Superman, the Daily Planet glow being put up. No, on my luck, we're also going to get Superman in the suit on the set, at the set. Like, all of these things happening at once. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have to prioritize my boy, Colin Farrell, the Penguin, and do a reaction here and an immediate first thoughts kind of breakdown impression. I have been waiting for this trailer. I'm very excited for this show. You have no idea, guys. Long story long here. It is literally the continuation of the Batverse saga. Canonically continuing, bridging the gap from the Batman to the Batman Part 2. So I very much so do encourage you to stick around for after the reaction so you can get into my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on my thoughts and the speculations that we're about to have. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, go ahead, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. As I keep saying recently, YouTube tells me that like 49% of you who come back week in, week out aren't actually subscribed, even though you might think you are. And maybe you'll subscribe today because you might enjoy more videos like this. But after a long rambly intro, guys, let's get into this, and then let's get into some rambly-ass discussion about what we see in this trailer.
I'll be calling the shots.
All right. All right, recap. Riddler flooding. Oh, see a little stop-drop span at,
Look at this.
No.
What that madman did.
What the Riddler did. Wait, is that Arkham? Or Blackgate? It must, Sal Maroni.
Carmine Falcone's dead. Yes. And I'm here now. I'll be calling the shots.
Nice, nice. I can't wait for that. Oh,
Falcone's
Gotham.
are still licking their wounds. They're distracted.
Nice.
The business will be ripe for the taking.
My father's been dead a week. You want to take what's mine?
Aha! Alberto Falcone.
I'm the daughter of the Falcone Don, but he's dead. The family thinks I'm broken. I'm not broken.
Theo Rossi.
We gotta take whatever we decide is ours. Because no one's gonna give it to us. We're not without a fight.
Penguin, you work for the family. You will do as you're told.
Wait.
I refuse to let these old men push me aside again. So I'm gonna take from them now. And I'm gonna force them to their knees.
What is it you're really after, Oz?
We're gonna tear down the Empire from the inside out.
And he most
You know,
certainly.
Oz, people underestimate you, but not me. I've always known you were capable of more.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That was awesome. I loved how much more Kristen Milioti we got in that. And this was really more of like a plot-focused trailer, whereas the others were more stylistically like, you know, when I was younger, there was this, old school gangster type, Rex Calabrese, right? It was very alluring, and it's definitely a great Penguin trailer, but this one was more, I would feel like, hey, upcoming this season, and, this is what you have to expect with the very much so dark story of what will be told through Oz becoming Kingpin. So very much so thoroughly enjoyed that trailer, and I'm very intrigued as to what kind of just flashed past my eyes, because there is many things. There's so much for me to go over here, because we get a lot more cast members teased in this more heavily than in previous trailers, and I think some of these characters give us a lot more of a clue as to what could be going on. So let's initially go over this. The first shot that we have here, you see immediately after the events of the Batman. As we know, the Penguin will pick up right away after the events of the Batman, and this portion of the city is still flooded. You can see how devastated everything is. You can see, like, the Help Us banner outside their building. They might not be able to leave. They might not have much food. There's another little banner that people have put up saying, don't forget us. So, you know, that's right next to the little billboard saying stop drops. Obviously, the drops that we saw Gil Colson taking in the first movie and was actually the birth of all of the crazy concepts of it being like a Joker or Scarecrow drug back in the day. The good old days. God knows what we're going to get into with theories for the Batman Part 2 set photos. But I love this as I'm just looking at it, going back on the trailer right now, because it gives you a bit of like the atmosphere, you know, immediately after what the Riddler created. And I love hearing even Oz say, look at what that madman did. And you can really feel the sentimentality in his voice. And, you know, it's an interesting thing to play because Oz Cobblepot is the Penguin, right? Yet he's a bad character is what I'm trying to get to, who cares about his city. And you really do feel that. This man, when he says that, looking out at the city, he's not just like your Joker-type villain or typical thug being like, oh, it's the Bat, you know, or something like that. No, this is a man who doesn't like seeing this being done to his city because it's his home. Gotham is his home, and he wants to rule Gotham. So already I pick that up in Penguin's demeanor there. He's looking at it with a bit of a broken heart. To be honest, this will be another part of his story that when he rises to the top of being Kingpin, he might be loved by all the neighborhoods in Gotham, or a lot of them, in the same way that he recounted that story of his neighborhood loving Rex Calabrese, because he helped people as well as, you know, he was the Kingpin, but he also helped people. He wants that adoration just like him. So already picking up major vibes about that. Like, as I've said before, and I'll say again here, this is as much of like a bridge from the Batman Part 1 to Part 2 as it is a character study on Oz, even though we're going to be dealing with all of these other characters, of which we've got the full cast list now, by the way, with the names, and a couple of names very, very intriguing, especially combined with some scenes that we see in this trailer. Dare I even say it, people are talking about Clayface. So, like, stay tuned for the rest of this video because we're going to have to get into that. But despite all of the other characters, this is also about Oz's rise, and very much so a character study through the lens of the events of the bloody battle, you know, and clawing for Kingpin. Now, the next notable shot to me, and I absolutely love the look of this, is, as we know, Falcone was going to end up in Blackgate, like where Sal Maroni's been staying ever since Falcone ratted on him. And we haven't seen what Arkham looks like yet, but we now get a look at what Blackgate looks like. And this looks incredible because it very much so obviously matches the tone of Matt Reeves' Gotham and Batman world that he's conceived here. And this is just like so haunting of a place to serve time at. It makes you think, what's Arkham going to look like from the exterior if and as of when we see more of that in the Batman Part 2 and Part 3. There's something about that where it's like, hey, if you're not going to end up at Arkham in Batman's world, where else are you going to end up? Oh, this place. This place. Look at that. And we see that Oz has gone there to have a meeting with Sal Maroni. We got a teaser of this in that first trailer. And he says, listen, Sal, the Falcones are still licking their wounds. And, you know, he's going to be calling the shots now. So I think he's gone there to get support from Sal Maroni, because obviously there's a big power vacuum now. You have Shoria Dashlu playing Maroni's wife, Nadia Maroni, as we've got the character name revealed as now. And they, you know, probably still have a bit of an operation going on. It's just obviously they couldn't really flourish with the main man locked away, potentially calling the shots, or who used to call the shots, since obviously Sal Maroni got put into Blackgate. But they still might have a bit of a presence. So I think after that scene we saw with Nadia Maroni and Penguin, he might need to get them on his side, get their support, right? And so this all plays into the little civil war within that of the crime families that are going to take place in Gotham. With obviously, spoiler alert, but not really, we're going to have Oswald Cobblepot end up on top. The most fascinating thing is, it doesn't really matter that we know he's going to end up as, you know, the new kingpin of Gotham, but it's just, how does he really pull that off? There's so many big players in the world left over. You know, you have Sofia. There seems seems to be a bit of a civil war going on within that of their own family, because you have the remnants of the Falcone crime syndicate feeling like, oh, actually, I don't know if Sofia Falcone and Alberto Falcone should take over from their father. Like, do they really deserve it? I feel like we've been doing more for when Falcone was alive, when Carmine was kicking around. I think we should have it. So you can tell maybe that's where Michael Kelly's character is going to end up. We hear Sofia Falcone express some of her struggle with her saying that she's the daughter of the Falcone Don, but like he's dead, but my family thinks I'm broken. She says, I'm not broken, with bloody freaking fingers dabbing it on her neck and chest. So, I mean, as we know that Sofia spent some time in Arkham in the past, so she's definitely got to have some demons that I think are going to pop up, even though it doesn't seem like it with the way she composes herself. I think she is good. We're going to have moments of absolute ruthlessness from her and potential shocking scenes. And more on the Arkham thing in just a second, by the way, with Theo Rossi's character. But notice how she says, I refuse to let these old men push me aside again. So they did that in the past, perhaps how she even ended up in Arkham. That's going to be interesting to learn more about. And she's going to force them to their knees. So, man, I'm very much so looking forward to her character. And I do think there's going to be a bit of a, at least temporary alliance between Penguin and her, even if it ends up in a bit of backstabbing, because we can't forget, Penguin's going to end up on top, and Sofia has insanely large ambitions because of her own trauma, really catapulting her there even more. Now, we do have Alberto Falcone, but as described by like the casting call, he's like a bit of a socialite, drug addict. He's really been like put in a position that's way over his head to handle the seat of Carmine. So I think, you know, obviously his sister's going to take over, and we do see that kind of energy, like he's listening to his sister. His sister seems to be calling the shots. I don't know if he's going to have as many ambitions as his sister. Maybe it's just impulsively so, again, way over his head, isn't quite prepared or even uniquely qualified for the role he's been given. Now, I don't know if he's going to give that up to his sister for her to take control, or if Alberto is just going to die in the process, because I remember that one scene in the first trailer, which is complete speculation here, but you just see Sofia lose it. Back to Sofia, we see her. And I keep an eye on these things, guys, because lo and behold, this character has been a casting that I've been very excited to see in the show. And that is Theo Rossi's character, who is revealed as Dr. Julian Rush. A bit of emphasis, by the way, on the surname there, Rush. Now, back to my main point here. When I was paying attention to his character, we saw him in Arkham with another doctor, and it looked like somebody was getting shock therapy. I don't know if that is a flashback to Sophia's time in Arkham. But here, well, guess what? We can see that Sofia has links still, or so it seems, with Dr. Julian Rush here. There's definitely an intimacy between them, and what intrigues me is, as we know, he works in Arkham. I mean, for crying out loud, the name of his character begins with Doctor. It makes me wonder if they've maintained a relationship since her time in Arkham, and was he even her doctor when he was there? Maybe. And what's his role going to be outside of Arkham? Maintaining a form of treatment, perhaps a special form of Rushy kind of treatment, you know, Dr. Rush, maybe, I don't know, we're gonna have to wait and see. But the really in-depth thing, that kind of a line that confirms kind of maybe the systematic approach that Oz is taking here to rise at the top as Kingpin, is when we have Sal Maroni say, what is it you're really after, Oz? And that is to tear down the Empire from the inside out. So he's gonna be going in from the inside, tearing it down. I don't think it confirms, but it seems to indicate here that maybe the speculation is a bit on point with how he's going to make some allies and then stab him in the back. And I can imagine the most painful one might be Sofia, if he actually does quite literally end up stabbing her in the back towards the end by killing her, because out of every other relationship he might forge between the Maronis, they might be a bit easier to, you know, betray as he ends up at the top. But we see that moment at the end where Sofia says to him that I've always known that there was a bit more in you, like everyone else underestimated you, but I didn't. I've always known you're capable of much more. And that's all I think Oz has ever wanted to be seen in the light as. capable of more, whereas everyone else just, completely underestimated him. And I think she's going to be instrumental into his rise for Kingpin with their alliance that is forged. But if he's going to have to take her out, because, I think she's going to really not, she's not going to, let that Kingpin position go herself unless it meant dying trying, right? So I think that might come to pass, and that will be quite sad to see, because I think we're going to love to see their dynamic grow in the show, to see what kind of team potentially, again, just speculation, that Sofia Falcone and Oz Cobblepot will have. Now, getting back to some other extra details here, we have an article from Deadline revealing all of the character names. And one stands out in particular that people are starting to point out, and I'm like, oh yeah, what if? And maybe this is where the rumors came from, a good couple or so years ago now, about Clayface. So you can see that Carmen Ejogo, loved her in True Detective, is playing the character of Eve Carlo. Now, people are thinking, Clayface, Basil Carlo. So, naturally, people are thinking, is this a gender-bent Basil Carlo? So this is Eve Carlo? Are they going to do a Golden Age Clayface, potentially, but just through Eve Carlo? Or you could argue this is just a wife or, relation to Basil Carlo through Eve Carlo, and that could just be an Easter egg. But I wonder if, if this isn't anything significant, this is what led to, oh yeah, Basil Carlo is going to be in the Penguin series. And maybe there is a Basil Carlo, and they're just not on the cast list here because they're an additional character, and the only hint that we've got to maybe a Basil Carlo could be Eve. There's so many variations of speculation here. Eve Carlo could be completely unrelated, but it is interesting. You never know. You never know. I'm starting to lean towards, I'm not saying she is a gender-flipped Clayface, but I do think at the very least this could be an Easter egg towards just the Carlo family name, in terms of, not actually the character of Clayface himself, but, some stepping stones on the way there maybe. But who knows what this could actually turn out to be, but it is also totally possible that we could be reading into this quite a bit. But ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to end this video there. Just wanted to give a little bit of a breakdown after the reaction, go over what I could while, flicking throughout the trailer. But I might, and probably will come back in the next few days, given, depending on what we're going to get out of other DCU things, because we might get some set stuff. So I might come back with a full breakdown, because there's a lot more I think I can go over in this. Order out some theories nice and neatly once I go through it a few times, maybe find some Easter eggs, some other references and whatnot, and just condense it down into a straight up in-depth breakdown video. But I wanted to get some thoughts out there initially, so let me know what you think of the trailer. Let me know what you think of my thoughts, my theories, any expanded theories you have yourself. I'm going to be keeping my eyes glued on that comment section. If you enjoyed this video and you got to this point, do consider liking it, consider subscribing to stay up to date with everything Penguin related and Batverse related, of course. But until next time, guys, I've got to edit my boys video now, so I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, Bat family, in the next video. Goodbye.